Do people trust your brand? When they come across your website or part of your branding or social media or your shop, any element of your brand, do you think that they're going to feel like this is something trustworthy, something that they're going to want to invest in, both time and money? Or are they going to feel a bit skeptical or unsure? Building trust is so important for a sustainable brand, especially in online business, because people can't meet you face to face and suss you out. There's a lot of online scams and people pretending to be something that they're not. That people are on a bit more of a high alert when they're online, and people want to be sure that they really trust a brand before they invest in it. And for small businesses, it's even more important because you don't have this big reputation like big companies, and so you're having to take the time to really build trust with someone and show them that they can trust you. There are so many ways that you can build trust in branding, and that's what we're going to dive into in today's video. I'm a brand design educator, and in today's video we're going to dive deep into building trust with branding. There are a lot of different ways that you can build trust through your business, and one of those ways is branding. And it's a particularly important one because it's one of those first things that people come into contact with when they first land on your website. The visuals, that's the thing that people absorb first, is how does something look? What are those words initially that they see on the page? What's that first impression? That's what branding does. It creates that first impression. And is it going to be an impression of this is something I might be able to trust, so I'm going to look into it more? Or is it going to instantly feel like a scam or something that feels really dodgy and people instantly going to think,
I'm not so sure about this, I might just go look at something else.
Branding allows you to create a deeper connection with your audience so they can get to know you, as well as create that first impression so people can feel like they can trust it as well. So here's 5 ways you can build trust with branding. So first of all, showing your face. People want to really connect with you and see that there's a real person behind the brand. They don't really connect with faceless brands where they don't know who on earth is behind it and all they're seeing is a product and a logo. It's like, well, who's actually behind this? Is this really real? Or is it just some scam? Have they just pulled pictures from the internet and just made it look like it's something? Show that you're real and there's a real person behind it. Plus, people are drawn to other people. We really connect with other faces and real people, and so it creates a connection too. We feel like we can relate to the person behind the business. And don't feel like you can't be putting your face out there until you can have this amazing brand photo shoot and look absolutely incredible and have the best photographer out there. Start where you're able to, even if it's taking photos on your phone. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect and polished. Just take your time to think about how you can keep it on brand with what you're wearing and what's in the background. Sometimes just keeping it more simple is easier, just to create something that looks really nice and so people can connect with you. And it isn't just photos either, it's also being on video, showing up on things like stories on Instagram or doing live video on social media. Basically making sure that your face is out there. So if you feel like you can't be taking great photo shoots, it could be that you just do some video, just showing up, talking to the camera or getting some photos and showing that there's a real person behind the business. Let your personality shine through as well. Let people get to know you and connect with you. Don't feel like you have to be this polished, perfect thing, because then people will be a little bit more uncertain because they'll be like, well, what's behind this person? They seem so perfect and polished. I want to get to know the real them. So while you want to be professional, you also want to show a side of your personality, and it's okay to occasionally show mistakes or behind the scenes or have a bit of a chat about what's going on. Be real. Number 2 is to be consistent with your branding. If you show up in a consistent way, that really builds trust. If you're constantly changing, doing new things, changing this up, and then you've got a completely different looking brand the next week, and you've suddenly changed your colors again, it's going to throw people off and confuse people, and it's also going to make people feel like there's something not quite right and you're not quite trustworthy because you're not consistent and reliable. And then they'll wonder, well, if their branding is like that, where they're constantly changing, they're really unreliable and they're not very consistent, then how's that actually going to translate into what I'm buying from them? Are their products or services also going to be unreliable and inconsistent? It also shows that you take your brand seriously, that you're not just, playing around with it and it's just some fun hobby where you just muck around, but you take it seriously as a business and you're treating it in a serious manner and being consistent with it, and that's going to build a lot of trust with people. Now, consistency is the most easiest when you first build groundwork. So if you just keep mucking around and playing with trying to figure it it out as you go, then you're going to more likely be inconsistent. Obviously, there's going to be things over time where you tweak and change, but the more you take the time first up to get really clear about your messaging and what you're all about and what you're trying to do, it's going to be so much easier than to be really consistent with that, because you've got really clear from the start. Number 3 is looking professional. When your branding is of a high standard and doesn't look amateur, people are going to trust you more. It looks like a serious business, and it looks like you put a lot of time and effort into it, and that you really take it seriously. Now, this doesn't mean it has to be absolutely perfect and you can't show up with just what you've got now, but it means taking that time to be, considerate and careful, and, trying to, put out your absolute best. So it means thinking, well, with the resources I've got right now and what I'm capable of doing, what's the absolute best that I can put out there? When you're professional, it shows people what they can expect from your business. So if your branding looks professional and well done, then they're going to think that what they purchased from you, your products or your services, are also going to be professional and well done. Number 4 is to share stories to create connection and trust. Stories create connection and make you feel real and relatable. Stories also help people find common ground so they can really feel like they connect with you and they've got something in common with you. Stories also help people find common ground, so then your audience is going to feel like you actually understand them. When they start to hear stories where they think, oh, I've been in that position, or that's like me, then they're going to start to think, well, this person really gets me. So they're going to be able to help me more because they've been through similar things, or they've had similar experiences, or they deal with, similar things in their life. And then they think, well, I trust this person more because they know where I'm coming from. Some stories that you can weave into your branding are things like your origin story of your business, the heart of your business and why it means so much to you, the why of your business and the why of why you are doing what you do, as well as your brand values and the story behind those values and why they are important to your business. So as you create things like visuals, whether it's the graphics or photography, think about some stories that you can sort of weave into that and how it can, tell a little bit of that story. And then also when you're posting things on social media, how you can start to tell some of those stories, and also how your visuals can reflect those stories as well. And finally, number 5, create an emotional connection. When you draw people in on an emotional level, then they're going to feel a much more deeper connection, and it also creates vulnerability and trust. You can create emotion through the colors you're using by having a look into color psychology, and then also the vibe and feel of your branding. How does it feel and what emotions it evokes overall? And then your brand imagery, how you're playing with different visuals and illustrations and even things like space and line, how all those things are building an emotion. And also your language and words and tone of voice. So the kinds of things you're saying in your business, the kinds of words you're using and the tone, what kind of feelings and emotions do those create? Plus in your branding, you can use humor and entertainment to create some relatability and some deeper connection. So remember, building trust is so important in branding, especially if you want a long-term sustainable brand. If you really want people to be investing time and money into your brand, to be buying from you, to be sharing it with other people, to be interacting with what you put out there, then it's so important to build trust. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you want to learn more about branding, graphic design and creativity, then be sure to subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you next time.